This week on the podcast, Alex returns and we're taking a dive into our most anticipated games to come through the rest of 2025. We also catch up on a lot of games we're playing as they're coming thick and fast. And on this week's Pixel Picks Showdown, we see who has the best hand as we crown the best card game. All this and more on the Pixel Parents podcast. Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Pixel Parents podcast, the show that discusses all things gaming from the perspective of parents. I am your host, Liam Kirkkelvin. Today I am of course joined by the bearded one, Scott the Tastemaker Curry. How are we, Scott?
I'm very well. I am not riddled with the cold, so I feel like the healthy one. They should be the moniker of this week. But how are you? I'm going to say the both of you and spoil it now. But how are both of you?
Well,
and who's the second version?
Yeah, I should say that. I am of course thrilled to say we're also joined by the virtual one, the host of Cross Button VR and the Mimics Veil. It's Alex. How are we, Alex?
Hello, I'm very well. Thank you for having me again. Nice to be here.
Yes, and thank you both for agreeing to do the start of this podcast again because I was dying on the first take. So yes, we're kind of retreading old ground here, chaps, aren't we?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
I know. You're hallucinating. It's
delusional.
Like medicine you're taking now.
But we've got to keep kayfabe at the end of the day, don't we?
That's it. It's really me, damn it.
Yeah, well, I suppose it's the joys of technology, the joys of understanding which is the right mute button. I'm sure Sean out there will appreciate not having to get a file out there to edit, and it's just me slowly dying with the worst cough you could hear imaginable over the top of what you were talking about.
That would be the funniest thing ever, though. Like, Alex goes into this really salient point about the game that he's been playing. It's just you coughing for the next 5.
That's all that was happening. I'm like,
it's so funny.
The worst part is when I realised it, I'm like, do I stop you, Alex? Because I'm like, I'm still being polite. I'm like, oh God. And,
you should have just stopped me.
I know I should have. My bad, guys, my bad. But of course, yeah, how's your week's been? What have you been up to?
I'll go first this time, seeing as Alex basically just spilled his guts out and then you stole it from us. So this week I had a big announcement last week and I let it go very early this week because I can't hold my water. But the second game of the 4 games of 2025 has been purchased, and I went out and bought Monster Hunter Wilds. To absolutely nobody's surprise, I saw it, and every single preview for it, I've been like, yeah, I mean, it looks good, but I'm not really fancying it. All the trailers, I'm not too sure. And then it came out, and I was like, aye, I'm buying this shit immediately. So got it on a really good deal on the Game Collection, and it came like 2 days later. It came a day early, and I've literally not stopped playing it. It's fucking phenomenal. Like, it's so good. I can't even deny it. I want to come on here and be like, Monster Hunter is pish. Like 8 million people playing it. Like, fuck that. Like, no. But it's so good. It is so bloody good. I'm using the Switch Axe, which is basically just an axe that changes into a massive sword.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how Liam loves massive swords in games.
Oh, my favourite.
Yeah, you do love it. But it's got this cool elemental attack where it like just explodes, and I tell you, it's the most satisfying thing that's ever existed. Like, it's so good. I've played it for ages, but I'm literally just running about doing like wee expeditions and stuff, and like going around the world helping people fight their monsters. So I'm literally still on chapter 1. I'm not sure how many chapters there are in this game, but it's just, honest to God, I turn it on and I'm like, I need to play it for ages, but then I get really tired and fall asleep because it's like, it's pure serene looking and lovely, and all this music playing in the background. I'm like, oh man, I need to go to sleep. Or Liam tells me that I need to come online and play COD with him because he's on his diamond hunt. So
of course, spoilers.
It's the most important part of this. It's the most important part of this gaming community that I live in. But yeah, I mean, what needs to be said has been said about it already. But the boss fights are fucking mad. Like, they're brilliant. Hacking off, limbs and tails and all sorts and wounding these animals is, you feel a wee bit bad as you're doing it. You know, I think that gets lost in the sauce where you're literally killing ecosystems of monsters in this entire universe, but it feels so good as you're doing it. It really does. And the moments where you have two monsters at the same time, so two opposing monsters, and they fight each other, it's fucking brilliant. It is so cool. Like, it is just amazing. Like, I took a video of it the other day, and it was like this spider monster jumps in and just starts attacking this other monster. And honestly, it's perfect. It's like Godzilla and King Kong at the same time. It's so fucking cool. Like, it's perfect. And Liam will be happy to hear that if he ever did want to buy it, there's an arachnophobia accessibility option as well. So it turns off all the wee spiders for you. So you could play it.
Happy days. That's all I want to hear. I've only ever tried, what was the last Monster Hunter game? The big one.
So the last one was Rise, but you would have played Worlds.
Worlds, yeah. It just didn't click with me at all. It's a game that I've always wanted to get into, but I don't know what it is. I think it was when I seen the little cat creatures. I'm like, nah, that's it for me. That's it for me.
They're the best part.
I'm tapping out.
Palicos are the best part. And then you've got the secret in it now as well, so you're not running everywhere. So you've got this wee dinosaur thing that you ride. Dinosaur birdie looking thing that you
Dinosaurs,
jump about in. So kind of teetering on the edge of that, but
pull me back
you can
in.
colour them in. So mine is now yellow, so it's just a big massive chocobo that I ride about everywhere. And it's so, honestly, it's just class. Like, even if you were just to play it for a few hours, I think that you would find enjoyment in it. But yeah, it's brilliant. Like, I'm really enjoying my time with it. So I'm glad it's the second game on the list, and I'm hopeful that it's one that lasts for a while.
All right.
Because it's completely taken over Grand Theft Auto 5 at the moment. Like, that's just been thrown to the side. Like, it's like what is it in Toy Story where he drops Buzz Lightyear? It's like, I don't want to play with you anymore. It just drops. So that's me dropping Grand Theft Auto 5 at the moment.
Oh man, what a game to drop.
It's one of those series I've been the same. I've always wanted to try and get into it, but it's always seemed so inaccessible. Like, but I know hearing a lot this time, saying that if there ever was a point to jump into it, is this one. So
yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. There is that it's the most accessible that I think that Monster Hunter has ever been, and I think that people who love Monster Hunter hate that. But you know, you're seeing it in the performance that it's putting out on like Steam numbers and stuff like that. That it's fucking hitting for loads of people. So yeah, I think that if you were going to jump into one, then this is the one to jump into, because it does a lot for you. And I tell you, some of the weapons in our class, like I'm finding myself now going and hacking out wee gems and stuff like that, and try and get different materials to then boost my swords and all that. So that's when you know you're getting in too deep. It's pretty ridiculous.
I mean, yeah, it definitely sounds like it's been a success for all the right reasons. Well, we say where there's smoke, there's fire. But yeah, sounds interesting. I want to dig more into that, Scott, as we go on, because I wrecked the order of this show. There's a few things I just need to cover beforehand again. So it's a bit Groundhog Day, guys. But I was mentioning the first time round that this is episode number 50 of the podcast. So we're going to get a completely sincere reaction to that for the second time. Wow, can't believe 50 episodes. But yeah, it's
who'd have thought? Hey, who'd have thought?
Who'd have thunk it? Yeah, I don't know what one's right. I should know, but it's too late. But yeah, Alex, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Before we get into what you've been playing this week, how have you been keeping? What have you been up to?
Not a lot. Just kind of keep plodding along with the podcast. Trying to keep as much virtual time as I can, but maybe not been as dedicated in the virtual space as maybe have been more in the flat space. It's been, I think, when I first came on, we were either just about to or had just started the Mimicsville. So yeah, that's been going well. It's having a great time with that. It's very different to what we did before, even though it might sound quite similar. It is quite a different podcast to what we did before with like the cross players, and it's been a great 6-7 months. I don't know how long it's been, to be fair. It's been quite a wee while. Yeah, kind of doing that, and then cross button VR is just kind of keeping going, and plenty to play. Far too much to play, I think, has been more the issue. And like trying to get through the games is the issue, and I think that's partially what's been the problem with VR. Like, there's been too much, and it's not like people are like, oh, there's no games for this, or there's no games for that. Like, there's too many games, you don't know which ones to pick, and then you're like, oh, can you play this and talk about this and play this and talk about that? And I think that's that's the difference probably between the two podcasts, because we don't really do that in the Mimics Vale. We just play what we want to play. But for Cross Button, it's different. We need to try and play the games that are kind of coming. But I just a lot of that, and just saying more shite at work, all that fun stuff. That's been it.
Excellent. Well, you mentioned 2 podcasts there, right? Yeah, that you're a host on. For our lovely listeners out there who may not be familiar, even though they should be, because this is the 3rd time you've been on the show, but I'm always one for a plug-in. So why don't you tell them just off the bat where they can go listen to your lovely tones every week?
Well, Cross Button VR is it's a video and audio podcast, so you can search for Cross Button VR on YouTube or on your podcast app of choice, and you'll find us there. And the Mimics Vale is just audio at the moment. I think probably stay audio. I think we quite like just keeping it audio only, but you never know. So on your Spotify or whatever, if you search for the Mimics Vale, you'll find the 3 of our voices there. Thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. And I think as well, if you're on Spotify, I think if you go on ours, you will see it in the suggested podcast as well. If you want to go check Alex and the team out over there, it's well worth your time. Go show some love. And speaking of plugging, I think I should get some housekeeping out the road before we get into the nitty gritty. So, of course, for those listening, this is the Pixel Parents Podcast, the weekly podcast by parents who game for those who do the same, where each week we discuss all things gaming whilst raising little ones. If you want to be part of the podcast, come say hello and share your thoughts with us at pixelparents.bsky.social on Blue Sky, or write to us at pixelparentspodcast@gmail.com. If you like what you hear and you want to support the show, you can leave a 5-star review and share this podcast online with your friends. That really helps us out. And of course, thank you to everyone that joins us each and every week. And I should also add, and I forgot this first time round, thank you to all of our new followers from Ukraine. You know, we stand in solidarity with you, of course. It's so random, but yeah, always good to get the international community.
His political commentator has really done wonders for the numbers on this.
Yeah.
So watch this space. I'm going to start hacking down, the US. I'll start bringing in the US contingent, and we'll see the numbers grow.
Scott, I might have to draw the line if you kick off a feud with the US on this podcast. It's not a good idea. I'm just
going to start sending out Blue Sky posts being like, I love tariffs. I think tariffs are the best. just try and catch everyone.
And also,
you get the Canadians right after you.
That's it. I mean, to be fair, there might be an opportunity to talk about stuff like that in the video game space in the months ahead. We shall see. But of course, we'll keep it lighthearted and entertaining, so it might be a bit dry. But with all that out the way, so gentlemen, Scott, you filled us in there. But Alex, what have you been playing this week?
Scott talked there about fighting monsters, and I've been fighting some big monsters as well, just some very different monsters, more like of giant jellyfish and squid and things like that. So I've literally just finished Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, which is the best titled game I think there's ever been. And what a great game it was.
I think if you were Jason Schreier, you might have a different opinion to that, but the less said, the better.
My opinion matters more, so that's the main thing.
There we go. That's the feud we want.
But it's I was really looking forward to this game, and it's not disappointing me. It's like just such a nice filler in between. Like RGG just managed to just keep throwing these games out, and they never seem to miss. Just now, they're always like, even like from The Man Who Raised His Name into Infinite Wealth and into this, it's just like such a nice. It just flowed really nicely into each other, and going from the different styles and different types of combat, the different characters, and telling a smaller story. Yeah. But like again, managing to be so silly yet so poignant at the same time, it's great. Like the one thing I didn't expect to enjoy as much in this game was the ship combat, and the ship combat is really good. Right. Like you go in and you've got like a pirates coliseum where you can go and just do ship battles, and you've got like different tournaments that you can go and try and win, like the same as any Yakuza game. You've got all these, but like there is a big part of it's not the main story. The main story, you're on the ship quite a lot, but then there's a side, you've got all your side questions, like quite a big side story where you're going and like battling and all these different like captains to get to like the head of this one who's stolen such a treasure, but you're kind of working up these levels of captains and then going and exploring these different like island sets of islands to kind of get to the pinnacle, and there's like 4 or 5 of them to work through, and you need to fight through all these different boats and stuff till you get there. But you've got your cannons, and you can upgrade your cannons to like cannons that shoot lasers, cannons that shoot fire, cannons that shoot shit, like the kind of things you can do in Yakuza. And you're just like, this is just brilliant and crazy and so good. So good.
I'm intrigued though, Alex. Like, I'm very impressed you finished that already. Is it a particularly long game, like Infinite Wealth?
No, like it's probably about a third of that.
All right, okay.
Even less, I would say. So I think 23 hours I've rolled credits on it. And there's still a lot of stuff I'm going to go back and finish. So there's some of that side stuff I want to go and finish, because usually the side stuff's quite good. Like usually some of it's longer than others, and just want to go back and tidy it all up. And I do actually think I want to get the platinum on this. Because it doesn't seem too unachievable.
It's ridiculous. It's like every other Yakuza game. I've considered doing it with like Zero and stuff like that as well, and like the time it takes is like I honestly could make Yakuza quicker than I could probably get I could probably become a Yakuza faster than it would be to get the platinum trophy on it. So never happening.
I feel like another maybe 10 hours would get me the platinum on this. So much smaller, much more doable. But at the same time, it's one of those, because once you finish the story, it just puts you back into the environments to go and clean up everything that you want to do. Then I find that's quite good for then just jumping in and out of and going doing wee bits of here and then. It becomes one of those types of games that you can just pick up rather than getting through that story. So yeah, much more palatable length.
The good thing is, it kind of seems like, obviously you've had the difference with Yakuza having like Ichiban and stuff like that, but now is there a future where Majima has his own spin-off series? Like, he's a pirate now, but in the next one he's like an astronaut, Majima in space or something like that. Do you know what I mean? You just keep on putting him in like random stupid places, because he was like a construction worker and stuff like that, and one of the other ones as well. So I love him. I love Majima. He's absolutely brilliant. So I'd love to see it.
It does talk about that kind of bits in it, about trying to get the capital to get the construction company back up and running and things like that. So it definitely feels like you're going to see more for him in the future.
So good.
So I mean, we've got another 3 or 4 games that we know of in the pipeline. Never mind what Virtua Fighter is it that they're redoing, and like they're a busy studio. They do a lot.
I mean, they're probably the busiest studio. Aye. It's ridiculous, some of the stuff they're doing.
It's only to be celebrated though, like with that volume of output and quality. Even though I'm not the Yakuza guy, it's clear as day to see. Like, these games are cherished, celebrated every time they come out, and the pace is mental. You're just not seeing it. They're an anomaly in many senses.
Yeah. And I think they focus on the right things. I think they're a very economical studio in terms of, they use all their assets. They go and just tell a different story in the same cities, the same places. Like this one is just in Hawaii again for large parts of it. So it's exactly the same city you've learned in Infinite Wealth. Probably actually smaller, because there's some of the bits you don't quite get to go to. And then it's not like they're saying, we need this to be super polished and it needs to be like really great graphics, and they don't. That's not what they're going for, and they don't need to. And I think more of that is what probably the industry needs, rather than going for these like super realistic graphics and all this like motion capture and everything. It's just costing ridiculous amounts of money. Like, pay it back and just give a more genuine experience and make things a bit more sustainable.
Absolutely. So it seems to be the best way to go. So you've spent a lot of time with that this week, Alex. Have you had a chance to dabble in anything else this week?
I played a little bit of 2 Point Museum.
Right, okay.
Because I really, really liked 2 Point Campus. So I've played the first maybe couple of hours of 2 Point Museum, and that's good. Like, it was really
everyone,
like it.
Like, everyone on my Blue Sky seems to be playing it at the same time. Like, everyone loves it. It's class. Like, it's just one of those things, like, you can just get carried away in it, and you don't really need to overthink it. And it's got a nice little like lightheartedness about it, and it's like you're going and you're starting off, and you think museums will be quite boring because they're not the most exciting of places, but I
love a museum.
You're going out there and you're. It depends what one it is, to be fair.
You're also 60 years old, so that makes sense.
But it's you send your wee like exhibitors or whatever, your people away on these excavations and stuff, and they're going out to research to find like your fossils and stuff to put in your museum, and you can find different bits of it that they all join together. The more like excursions and expeditions, that's the word I was looking for, that they go on, and then you start to like build up the number of stars in your museum, and you're getting all your staff in and managing it all, and it's all quite easily done. And then where it goes a wee bit different, whereas on campus you had to go and like basically finish each museum before you moved on to the next one, it kind of almost side shifts you between these ones, because you need to go and almost curate another museum, so that like these are like your like collection of museums, so that you get like more prestige about you before your museums can get all the prestige. And it's all about placing like the right kind of notice boards beside everything that you're exhibiting, so people can get enough information about them and all. It's all the wee bits about it, and then you've just got that added humour. And 2 I really like with 2.2, and I think I know people were a bit like with museum, you're a bit like, not sure how this is going to work in comparison to hospital and campus, but nah, they seem to have, from what I've played so far, seem to have done a good job.
It seems to be received pretty well, like from what I've seen of it. It kind of led me down a path of, like a few nights ago I couldn't sleep, so I sat and watched a long play version of somebody playing Theme Park. Like, and it was like, now the wee Scottish aunt guy that used to give you all the advice and stuff like that. Oh my god, man, like you're kicked right in the balls with nostalgia. You're, oh my god, so beautiful.
What an expression. My god. No, it sounds actually it's got a lot in common. Well, it sounds like the likes of Jurassic World Evolution 2. I was talking about that a couple of weeks ago. It's taken a lot from that. So I totally appreciate it. I've been kind of dabbling in and out of that, both playing and watching on YouTube. But I totally get the appeal, man. There's something about it. I mean, like you says, it also sounds like it has similar vibes, to Power Wash Simulator. There's a lot to be said for these type of games, where you can just zone out. Alex, you were saying before we got started, you are a believer as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I do like a bit of Power Wash Simulator. I'm tempted now they've released the Wallace and Gromit DLC as well. Go and clean some of that. But I'm just ashamed that it's not in VR, and the VR studio the VR development got closed down, unfortunately. The game's still there and the DLCs to date are still there, but it's one of those like, go and wash anything you want in VR and wander around my room with Quest on, but don't ask me to get out and power wash on the outside. It's not happening. Absolutely not.
Tell me, it's the year of comfort gaming, and Power Wash Simulator should be top of your list, Scott. So yeah, I'm doing everything I can to campaign for this game. Probably a few years too late.
I mean, on the Quest in multiplayer, just 3 or 4 of you, and they're talking to each other, power washing these gardens, and like, can't beat it.
Sounds amazing, honestly. I need to get one now. I need to get one just for that and Batman. But that sounds
and a triangle strategy.
Oh, right. Is this your first time playing it?
Civ 7 very soon as well. Like, it's all on the Quest.
Have you played Triangle Strategy on the Quest?
I have played Triangle Strategy on the Quest. That's an experience, because I wouldn't sit and play that on the Switch or anything, but in the Quest it's really quite cool, because you feel like you're in it, and you put it in mixed reality, and you've basically got the battlefield in front of you, and all that nice little HD 2D art style like really pops in VR, like, because you can manipulate it so you can view like it in whatever way that you want to see it. And I think it's one of those, for all it's really impressive in VR, because it's such a long game. I'm not sure how much you'd want to play it in VR. I think it's that balance which is difficult, but it's good.
But that sounds like an incredible experience. I think, Scott, was that one that was featured in the Pixel Picks list a few weeks ago? Triangle Strategy. I think it might have been.
It must have been. Yeah, it must have been.
Maybe for the tactical JRPG.
It was the tactical JRPG. Yeah, I think it was.
Oh, what a game! What a game! I could wax lyrical about that, but I'm not going to. But that sounds like a pretty decent week for yourself, Alex.
I can't complain.
Happy days. And Scott, coming back to you, obviously you hit us with the big announcement, Monster Hunter Wilds. You been playing anything else this week?
Have I been playing anything else this week? No, really, no. Apart from, sporadic sessions of Stardew Valley with the wee one again, where I continue to do everything on that farm and she just runs about. Apart from that, nothing really. I think it was, as I wanted to play Monster Hunter, I was like, I don't really want to start playing anything big or meaty before that comes out. So it was just jumping onto Stardew Valley. And then obviously playing Call of Duty with yourself.
Yep. I suppose that's a good time as any for me to kind of offer my own up what I've been doing this week. I mean, as we've known,
tell everyone about the absolute dirty things that you've been doing on COD this week.
Yeah, bar the teabagging. I think it's just been like my headspace because I'm a week and a couple of days away from moving at the time of recording, and I suppose I feel like I should be playing more Avowed, but it's kind of the right game at the wrong time for me just now. Like I'm really enjoying it. I want to just kind of sit and take my time with that, get swept up in the music, but I'm an absolute ball of anxious nerves at the end of the night, and that's just a cocktail of what's happening like with moving house, and then also work's just kicking off, and I'm like, right, okay. So all I really want to do is hop on, and I must say I do look forward to it. Just a little couple of hours with your fine self, Scott, just playing Call of Duty courtesy of Game Pass on Xbox, which is that's just paid for itself. I'm not going to disclose how many hours I've got on it at this point, but yeah, the shameful thing I've been doing on it this week has just been grinding diamond camos. So yeah, I've got them all in the assault rifles. So it's shameful stuff. But it's a good game. It's but more importantly, I think it's a social aspect. Just at the end of a long day, just getting to go in and talk more nonsense with yourself, Scott. You think we don't get enough of that on here every week? I need to get my fix every day. But it's just kind of craving that catch up, and I've just been kind of doing a lot of micro gaming, I suppose. I've been tempted to like pick up the Portal because my long suffering with Married at First Sight Australia continues. So I'm not winning that battle, but I've got the Portal there, and obviously they connect to the Pulse Elite headsets. They connect to them incredibly well. I do recommend it if you've got both. And I was like, well, I've got Lost Records. I thought, did I just break my promise and just go play Tape 1? But I just can't quite, again, I just don't want to commit to anything just now. So it's been a mix of that. Obviously, Balatro. And I've been going back to Marvel Snap again, guys. Shocking nobody.
Oh, dear.
Shocking nobody. But there's a new season kicked off. And I'm pretty excited about the new cards this month. And yeah, just happy to kick off the new grind. I'm an absolute mug punter for that game. What can I say? Ben Broad has me.
See if we see you when we're moving house. If I see you on your phone playing Marvel Snap, I'm going to volley it straight out the window.
Oh God, I'm being watched. I think it won't be that. You'll volley the phone out of my hand, and my wife will just volley me. That's what would happen. Oh,
but like sneakily visiting the toilet. Give me 2 minutes. I need to go for a pee, and like 10 minutes later, you're in there like fuck. You won't getting beat.
Hiding in the back of the moving van.
That's it. All you're hearing is Snap getting in amongst all these boxes. I don't know when that game's going to stop for me. I felt close a few months ago, and I just keep on going back. So I'm just playing it every day. But it's not for in the worst day. I would say I probably play collectively a couple of hours, but it's genuinely just like habit. If I'm going to make my lunch or something like that, I'll stick it on for a couple of games, just like whilst the kettle's boiling or something like that. But yeah, you know what it's all about for me, guys. You know what it's all about for me, and it's going to be my time soon when Assassin's Creed Shadows finally reaches this man.
Imagine you hate it. Imagine you turn that game on and you absolutely hate it. It
would be the most hilarious episode of this podcast, I think, to date. Just me weeping.
It would be so good. You hate it, and then I like it. It'd be so funny.
Well, see if I look back at Mirage, right, which was a couple of years ago. I mean, Mirage I thought was okay. I wasn't in the camp which was like we needed this. It obviously felt like its origins in terms of it being a DLC expansion. It was good. Wasn't anything really I would write home about. I would definitely be one to like wait for the sale. That's where I was at with it, and I platinumed it. Absolutely rinsed that. So I'm just looking forward to just getting lost in that at this point, which I suppose is as good a time as any for me to lead into our main topic this week. So we, at the start of the year, Scott, we sat down and we just gave a little bit of a forecast, I would say, for what's coming up this year. Now we're a few months in, or one quarter, about to kick off the financial year, I suppose, for all the adults out there. Alex, I can see you shivering, just me saying that. Probably heard that enough.
Aye.
But it's this week's main topic is, of course, all about our most anticipated games of 2025. And I think it's a good idea for us to kind of look at it now. Now we've got a better idea of what's to come ahead. So we've had like Xbox showcases, state of plays. We've even got Nintendo finally announcing a new console, which we'll get more details on next month. Believe it or not, that's went in fast. So, gentlemen, I'm really intrigued to see what we're looking forward to the most and what should our listeners keep an eye out for as well. So I thought, to keep things nice and tight, we would start by just kind of going round with our top three right now, if there's any ones just off the top of your head or ones that you know. So I'm going to invite either one of you to kick things off. So Alex, Scott, who wants to go first?
I mean, I'm happy to throw the really imminent one out there.
Let's go for it.
As in, like, right now, because after all the reviews and everything come out in a game that I was quite looking forward to, but Split Fiction is right at the top of my list.
Yes.
Right now.
Yes.
Like,
Let's
I'm really
pause on
looking
that.
forward to playing that. I have ordered it. It is coming. We've been a bit like similar to you, restricting what we're buying. So in the podcast, we're not allowed to buy any games until the Switch 2 comes out.
Oh, right. Okay.
Unless we had any pre-existing gift vouchers or credit, we were allowed to spend them. And if we got any codes, we were allowed to do them. So that was fine. So I've used my pre-existing credit to buy Split Fiction. So Ben and I are going to play through that. And I'm really just seeing all. I thought it would be good, but I didn't think it would probably hit the It Takes Two heights in terms of where it is. But the way the reviews have come in, I think it could. So that's kind of hot off the press at the minute, really.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, my copy arrived today. I was quite fortunate, and I've got Scott. He's going to be absolutely tramping off the back of that using the friend pass, aren't you?
Of course. I mean, that is the Game Pass of games, isn't it? Like, it's so good. Like, it's the best deal ever. You don't have to force someone else to buy it, so it's quite nice.
Fair play to them.
It's one that, every single time we've seen it, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I'm 100% on board with it. But then it's like, it's Hazelight, and Joseph Fares knows how to make a game, so it's like, well, we'll see where that goes. So I'm kind of like, I'm not 100% sure, but Liam's bought it now, so I'm going to have to play it enough.
Yeah, well, we've dedicated some time this weekend, haven't we? Just to kind of
Indeed
try and finish it, and again, as if next week isn't hectic enough, get that podcast recorded for next week just to kind of share our thoughts on that. But I think it sounds like it's going to be, everybody's going to probably be playing it within our circles anyway this weekend. So, and you're right, Alex, the initial buzz has just been so much more glowing than anticipated, even though I didn't think it'd be received badly. But it just seems like everybody that's been playing this have said the same thing. It just puts a big smile on their face. So I'm like, yeah, I want some of that. Why not? I also want to ask, now when you mentioned pre-existing credit, right? Technically, could you say, well, I've got approved for a credit card already and I can use that pre-existing credit?
It was basically if we had any credit already on PlayStation, or like I declared my Amazon voucher that I had at that point in time. So it was like, and one of the guys in the Discord he's been declared the ombudsman to make sure that we have to run all decisions, and buying decisions by him get pre-approval.
That's hilarious.
I love that.
He makes the final decisions on what's allowed and what's not allowed, and keeps us honest.
Do you know what? Fair play to you. I'm definitely. It's nice to hear that we're all embracing this slow gaming movement. I suppose, just not buying things fast and loose. And I'm with you. I've got a cupboard behind me there with all my vouchers that I've accumulated through Christmas and before that, birthdays and that as well. So I'm just kind of sitting on them, and it's, I don't know, feeling like Metal Gear Solid Delta might be the one that gets me, but we might be talking about more of that in a wee moment. But Alex, that was your first most anticipated game of the year. What's number 2 and 3 for you on your list?
It's a hard one because there's so many. And mine are probably quite different to other people, but it's things like, probably one for me which I really like off is Mixtape. and not one that many other people would. But like, because I loved the game that is now the name of the game is totally getting out of my head. But The Artful Escape so much. I really want to see where they go next for that. So Mixtape's like one that's really quite high up my list as well.
Yeah.
And Fable was there, and unfortunately, Fable's no longer there. And the other one probably is Ghost of Yoti, which is an obvious answer, but that's only because there's so much hype around it, and I've still not played Ghost of Tsushima, so that's on the list to get played beforehand. But I'm still kind of like wanting to to play the both, and it's the only PlayStation game to like look forward to. So
that's true. Yeah, it still feels like
a
death on there. I'm so jealous that you get to experience Ghost of Tsushima.
I know.
And that director's cut will look absolutely belting on your setup as well. But you know, the Ghost of Yoti, that looks class, and I can't wait for the absolute tidal waves of faux outrage around it when it lands, because how dare they have a female protagonist, and it's like lighting up. But the game looks really sensational. Like, that trailer's jaw-dropping, and I think it's a really clever move to move it generations forward in the storytelling.
Yeah.
I won't dig into it more than that because you've still experienced the first one. And as for Mixtape, what a shout. Like, yeah, I remember seeing the reveal trailer for that, thinking I am well into the vibes on this. Like, please give me that. Hook it to my veins. Thank you very much.
I mean, there's so many little ones that you would know, like, there's games that were not even on the radar, like Blueprints, which now, like, I cannot wait to play that game. I'd never heard of it a few weeks ago. Like, and now even knowing you're getting it on Game Pass and on PS Plus, and you can play it where you want it, and like, I love that kind of game. It's just all these games keep coming, and you're just like, it's going to be one of those years we're just spoiled for choice.
We are.
Which all the years felt like it, but I feel like even the more we're seeing of 2025, it's just getting, I mean, you want to say worse, but it's not a bad thing, but it kind of feels like it at times.
Yeah, 100%. And I think what we'll do is, after we're kind of going through our top three, I've kind of prepared a wee list of ones in between there. We can kind of go through month by month, just to kind of let the listeners know what should they be keeping their eyes out for. But that's a pretty solid top three there, Alex. You know, if you end the year and you stick to the rules and that's the only 3 games you're getting to buy, I think you'll be pretty happy. Scott, you're kind of in the same boat. You've bought two out of your 4 games already. You've got to pick top 3.
2 out of my 4 games, yeah. But I'm kind of putting a wee sort of rule on this, is that I've already kind of bought Metal Gear Solid Delta already, so I'm technically not counting that because I've paid for it last year.
Right. Okay.
I think you need an ombudsman here.
Yeah, I think I'll call you up on the ombudsman bit. Can't even say the word. And now I'm like, whoa. I don't really want to say the really obvious one because it's like, it's too obvious.
We love the obvious.
Yeah, but you know, I'm anticipating it, but it's not the one that I'm like literally shitting my breeks to play. But obviously, with Grand Theft Auto 6 on the horizon, it's like all games don't exist anymore. But I'm not really going to that because I think you will. I think my most anticipated game is probably Metal Gear Solid Delta because I'm just like, I fucking love Metal Gear Solid 3. And getting to see that again in glorious HD and beautiful, you know, remake tones, it's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, I
think we spoke about it a few weeks ago with kind of it being on par with the Silent Hill remake as well. That, you know, I just can't wait for it to come out now. Like, I think the fact that it's coming out in August is killing me inside because it feels like there's absolutely no reason for it to take this long to come out, but I'm fucking buzzing for it. Yeah. And that's just because, you know, nostalgia hitting and I want to play it again. So,
I mean,
but in terms of,
it looks absolutely sensational, to be fair. I wouldn't say that. I think that really is one of the heavy hitters this year, looking at the quality. Alex, you're a Metal Gear Solid fan yourself?
No,
not one for you.
Like, but it's more that I missed the whole Metal Gear Solid thing because I didn't start on PlayStation and then never ever caught up. So it's always just one of those series that's passed me by.
Have you played any of them?
No.
Oh man. You've got like, this is like, I don't even know the words. My soul, right to the core of me. honestly, the Master Collection's brilliant. If you ever were going to go and play it, Metal Gear Solid 1 is right there to play. It's
and saying that brilliant. Though, like, I mean, those games are classics for sure. I think this is the beauty of Metal Gear Solid Delta, though. You know, case in point, what you're saying there, Alex, if you kind of bypass it at the time, this is probably the jumping on point. You know, in terms of like where the story starts and also the modernizations that's in there, it's like, hell yeah, like jump in there. I mean, if it's good and if the Ombudsman can allow it, you know, it might be one that you could purchase.
maybe.
Scott, what's also on your list there then? So was that top of your list, Metal Gear Solid Delta?
That's probably top of my list, yeah, in terms of the games that I'm looking forward to most this year. If I'm not picking Grand Theft Auto 6, then my next one is Death Stranding 2. Purely because, you know, on the beach,
just think that adds up.
It's just complete Hideo Kojima fanboy nonsense in it. Like, that's the only reason why I'm excited for it. I've not seen any gameplay for it since, you know, little bit of snippets in that trailer, but from everything that I've seen in that trailer, it's even more fucking weird and stupid than the first one. So
yeah,
I'm on board with this. You know what I mean? That's to be a Hideo Kojima fan, you have to be a wee bit weird, and that's what we all are. So I'm fucking buzzing for it. Like I can't wait to go and deliver more packages and listen to fucking weird music and stuff as I'm doing it. So I'm totally on board with it.
It's an everyday game. Alex, I'm going to come to you. Like, have you played the first Death Stranding? Are you excited for this one at all?
No.
Strike two.
It's another one of those, like, it just never appealed to me in the slightest. But I've downloaded it a couple of times to attempt to play it, but like the whole
I'm less hurt about that one than anything else, to be honest with you, because it's definitely an acquired taste. Acquired taste so much so that I've platinum on 2 different versions of it, which is
good grief.
I mean, I want it to do well because I do have it in my fantasy critic here, so it's when I'm hopeful that it lands well and we get a good score on it. But like,
I'm sure it will.
Very unlikely to play it.
I'm sure it will. I don't think you're in any fucking danger with it.
I don't think. I mean, honestly, I think Hideo Kojima could release a game that was the most pointless exercise on earth. Like, you know, you could just be crossing T's and dotting I's, and I don't think a critic out there would dare give it low scores across the board. It might polarize like the last one, but you'll definitely still get those 5 out of 5s, 10 out of 10s, because people will view it as art. I'm really looking forward to Death Stranding 2 because I feel like it's all or nothing now with me.
Yeah.
And Hideo. I think it's he's overdue a bit of a comeback for me personally, because I'm like that. I feel that he's kind of went into this style era, as I've mentioned before. I want the substance. I want substance Kojima back, and I think he might pull it off this time. We'll just wait and see with the power of the PS5 Pro in the palm of his hands. We'll just have to see. But yeah, what's next on your list then?
You know he's going to pull it off in the Xbox One. That's the one where he's going to pull it off.
He's going to flex his muscle on
it.
$5. Number 3 is probably a bit of a toss-up between 2 games, but I'm going to go with my heart on this because I've been screaming from the rooftops that I want this game to come out. I need this series to come back. And I've been needing it to come back since 2017. And that game is Professor Layton in the world of Steam. And I didn't realise it was coming out in 2025 until I googled games that were coming out in 2025 for this episode. Yes. And, you know, I'm not hopeful on it because, you know, I've not heard anything since, but I fucking can't wait. I love Professor Layton.
So did I.
It's so good as well. As I say, I'm always like a wind's blow away from me walking into a CEX and buying an old Nintendo DS and every single copy of Professor Layton that they own, because I fucking love them. Like, so good. And just
sounds like a good idea, that.
Aye. No, I know. Everyone's never agreeing with me. It's definitely something that I'm looking forward to. And yeah, that's that, to be honest with you. That's my top 3. But again, Ghost of Yotei is definitely on there as well.
Oh yeah.
And pretty much those.
Those 3. Well, I mean, I'll give give you my 3 just now. I'm not going to put GTA 6 on that because I think we can come to that. That's probably the lowest hanging fruit on there, to be honest with you. I think everybody, whether you're playing it or not, is anticipating that game one way or another. It feels like there's going to be a time before that game and a time after it. Obviously, right, the first one for me is the most obvious thing I'll say all day, which is, of course, Assassin's Creed Shadows. Like, I have waited long enough for this game. Guys, I've waited long enough, right? It's time.
I can't wait for it to come out so you can stop talking about it.
Honestly, well, that's just the start of it.
Imagine your internet doesn't work in your new house and you can't play it.
Oh, good God. Don't.
You'll be coming to my house.
I've all been thinking,
can I use your internet?
I believe that after the still game when Victor's watching Jack's Skybox, get my house, you arsehole. No, I think everything that I'm seeing about it is rightfully so, giving me belief that we could be in for something quite special with it. And I'm also noticing the winds have changed in terms of how the fellow games media are talking about it in other podcasts recently. It's kind of went from you just utter the word Assassin's Creed and it's like, too bloated, not ready. I've had enough of that meal for once. I think it's just time heals all wounds. I can I could go there again. And it is what it is. I think the dual protagonists that you've got in there with Naoi and Yasuke as well, given those 2 different play styles, is going to cater to 2 different types of gamer out there. One that wants that more traditional stealth-based approach and one that just wants to go in and absolutely cut everybody up. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's probably likely a game, if it clicks with me, I will platinum it just out of sheer compulsion because I've did that with all the recent Assassin's Creed games. But yeah, not long. We're about pretty much 2 weeks away from it. Less than 2 weeks by the time this podcast goes live. So yeah, I'd put that at number 1. Obviously, you guys are going to be like, you know what, Liam, you're right. I can't wait for this game. You've sold it. You've sold it to me.
No, what Liam, you've sold no. It's not one of the 4 that I want to buy this year, but depending on whether or not I fall into a game shop and buy it, I'll see. But it's not one on the list for me, to be honest with you.
Alex, what about yourself? I'm intrigued.
Oh, I'll most likely, hopefully, be playing it. So it's certainly on my list to play if I can manage to find a way around being able to play it. I will.
But where the trade-ins fall in the rules here? Because is that a way to circumnavigate?
No, trade-ins aren't allowed. Yeah, they're not allowed.
That is tough. That is really tough. I mean, I don't know what I'd do without trade-ins. Like, I'm already looking at like stashes of consoles that I've got up the stairs. I'm like, well, I could maybe sell that towards the Switch too, because I just would rather just kind of do that than anything else. Try to resist using the card as often as possible, but we'll see come April. But I should also add before I get into number 2, I've not added anything related to Switch 2 because it's not confirmed yet. Because I was thinking, do I put new Mario Kart unconfirmed game or Metroid Prime 4? And I could look like a right idiot when it turns out they're just re-releasing Breath of the Wild in the launch lineup. So
yeah,
we just never know.
Or you just play the Switch, you're getting a console, no games. Here you go.
That's it. I think we'll definitely be able to kind of speculate on that very soon. But I think I was looking at the rest of the year. And I'm like, right, I know that in March is coming. And I think for me, in all honesty, and I'm surprised by it, but Clair Obscur Expedition 33, number 2 on my list. And I'm shocked because I'm not looking at that going, oh, I love Persona. Let me have some of that. I'm just looking at this game in its own entirety with no reference point to be like, this looks class. Like, genuinely so impressed from my first outing. And the fact that it's on Game Pass as well, 24th of April, I think it's coming out. I think the previews went live around those lucky to get their hands on with it this week. But this, if it adds up to everything that the promise that we're seeing in this initial gameplay trailers and how people are speaking about it, yeah, I think this could be easily one that you're going to see featured in the high end of many top 10s this year. What's your thoughts, guys?
I think it definitely looks promising. I think for this studio seems to have clearly had a vision in and they've stuck to it religiously, and it's nice to see the previews are coming out positive. I'm not thinking this is going to be the best game you're ever going to play, but I think it's going to be it's going to be a good one, and I think Game Pass will do this a world of good, because I think it's one of those a lot of people will be like, first game going to be, I'm not going to jump into it, I'm not going to, but I think everything I've seen about this really makes me want to play it, and it's not necessarily my type of game at all, but I think just from the trailers and that big balloon guy, I'm like, yeah, I mean, I need to see how weird this actually is. And I mean, hopefully it's, what is it? Basically everyone over 33 dies or something. Is that basically the story behind it? So we'd all be dead in the game. So
oh god,
they would have died about 20 years ago. So
I wouldn't be able to get past the first chapter now. Yeah,
I'm the exact same, and it was, between that and Professor Layton on my list, but all the previews have only just stoked the flame more, to be honest with you, because I was excited from the moment that I saw it, seeing the sort of active combat and stuff like that with it, and the weirdness of it all, me. But as time goes on, I'm just getting more and more excited for it, and the fact that it is coming out on Game Pass, as you said, Alex, it's the best thing you could possibly do with it, because it creates a whole new audience of people that will be like, do you know what? I think I'll just give it a go and see what it's like, and it'll do wonders for that. And it does also help with the kind of 4 games this year that I don't have to buy it. So pretty pleased with that as well, to be honest with you.
Yep. Well, I'm kind of keeping that theme going, moving into number 3 here. As I mentioned, Clair Obscur is on Game Pass. Now, originally my number 3 before recording with you fine gentlemen this evening was actually Doom the Dark Ages, which is in Game Pass, but it has been shunted out the road for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, which is coming to Game Pass.
Which is on Game Pass.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, pure total nostalgia. I know there'll be things missing from the soundtrack. You'll have skaters missing like Bam Margera. I'm intrigued to see how they go about the kind of campaign mode in it, because there's a big difference between 3 and 4. But man, like, all I want, 3 and 4 are probably my favourite games in that series, which seems like sacrilege because I know Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 was so influential. But man, if there's anybody younger that was listening to this, I hate to say it, but you just had to be there. Like, these games were just, they took on a life of their own. Like, it was so culturally on point. And yeah, I'm so happy to see it, because at one point it looked like it got cancelled and it wasn't going to happen, and it just felt like such a no-brainer to do. And yeah, I just can't wait to get my hands on this game, man.
Just Phil the Saviour into it. I was like, no, go make it.
That's
like,
it. That's it. And Phil we trust.
Maybe not. But I can see, and this is another one going to do well, and I think because the first one, I don't think anyone expected the remake, the first 2, to be anywhere near as successful as it was, and I think if they can do half as good a job as they did with that one with this one, then there's not going to get many people complaining. Particularly, and then again, I mean, I think what we really need to be saying to people, this is really the year you need to buy Game Pass. Like, cause there is so much on Game Pass this year, it's unbelievable.
Absolutely. I mean, if you have an Xbox and you've not got Game Pass yet, honestly, I feel like saying, what are you doing? Like, you're missing out.
What if you don't have an Xbox and you don't have Game Pass, to be fair? I mean, as we say, we're all on Xbox, so I mean, I'm playing my Quest and everything. It's like,
I mean, it is totally the year of Xbox, so like we'll get to kind of go through some other ones that will be anticipated for sure, but obviously we've got to be top 3 mindset. But it feels like it is a year of Game Pass, and after that state of play recently, I know we had games like nearly made the list, like Mind's Eye, right? The one that Leslie Benzies is working on, which looks fantastic. But I'm also looking at it like thinking, it does feel like Sony. I'm just not sure. Like, it might just be because you're having to shell out potentially 70 quid a pop, which makes you have a little bit more of a discerning eye when it comes to those announcements. Whereas with Game Pass, it's like, this is great. I'm just showering in games. Like, just give me them all. Aye, it's what a time to kind of get on board with it. You just can't go wrong. And especially if you're doing a reduced game purchase challenge for the year, Game Pass could be your wee secret hack around it, chaps.
Absolutely.
It's definitely the way forward. I don't have any affinity with Tony Hawk's kind of Pro Skater 3 or 4. I don't remember it. They all kind of blend into one around that time for me, so I've inevitably will have played it at some point.
Yeah.
And the exclusion of Bam Margera really hurts me, but
I think it's maybe a bad pot these days, mate.
aye, oh, definitely. But to be honest with you, seeing the Doom guy in there and stuff as well, and seeing the Reaver stuff like that as well, I'm just like, as long as they can have a bit of fun with that and stuff, then that's cool. So more power to them, to be honest with you, because as you say, it did look like it was cancelled, so it's good to see it. It's good to see it come out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's such a bonus. I actually didn't put 2 and 2 together when it was a worst kept secret in gaming for a few months there, that it was going to get confirmed. But I didn't put 2 and 2 together to be like, oh yeah, it's Activision. Of course, it's going to be in Game Pass, and it just goes to show you that the potential that Xbox have to really like inject some even more value into this Game Pass service. I'd be lying if I was to say I'm not worried that we're going to get a bit of a meaty price hike on Game Pass soon. But I base that on absolutely nothing. I am not Matt Piscatella. I'm just looking at it thinking there is no way they're going to keep giving this amount of games on that and not try and jack up the price by a couple of quid or even like a $5.
Well, they've already kind of half done it to an extent, though, haven't they? Because they reduced the standard version so that you didn't get the day one stuff in the standard version, so everyone had to go up to the ultimate if that's what you're wanting. But I think there's also rumours that in a couple of months, is it April, there might be a price rise because they've like stopped auto renewal for like the reward points, because I manage basically get enough reward points every month to get a free month of Game Pass, so like it's just like growing in perpetuity at the minute. So, but apparently they're upping the cost each month for the number of reward points.
Right, okay.
So there's a little rumour that that's because there's going to be another price hike, but it might just be that they're rebalancing it, which they've done before.
Aye, I mean, regardless, it's still even if it was like £25, say, if they rose the prices to that for Game Pass Ultimate, I'd still say it's worth it just because the vast library of games that you're getting, no matter what you would be into, and then you chuck in things like if you're a casual gamer like Call of Duty, all the rest of it, it's definitely worth it. But I mean, I'll come back to these most anticipated games, right? Because there's so many on this list that I've kind of noted that is on Game Pass, and ones we've already talked about. So, but there's ones like in March. We've got Atomfall. Anybody else looking forward to this? I think it looks class. It's coming out end of March.
I think it looks really cool, like because it's basically it feels like Fallout in Britain. Like that's how I keep looking at this game, and I'm like, quite. And again, I don't think I would have taken a punt on it if it wasn't on Game Pass. But of course, I'm going to try it on Game Pass.
100%,
absolutely.
Aye, same as me. To be honest with you, it's not the kind of game that I think I'll vibe with, but the fact that it's there on Game Pass, I'll definitely give it a go.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I look at that the same way with like Avowed, even though Avowed was 100% up my alley. It's like, well, no harm, no foul. Like I thought, Scott, you were saying that the other week, like you gave it a bash. So it's not for me, but like, cool, you can just drop off and you don't feel bummed, shortchanged.
No, exactly.
And then, like I think 2 weeks after Atomfall, you got South of Midnight coming to Game Pass as well.
Yeah, true. Aye.
I actually think that was really my number 3 rather than Ghost of Yoti, to be fair, and I just forgot about it. But like that is like everything that I've seen about that game, and I know they're saying some of the combat might not be like the best in terms of the previews, but I think everything else about that game just sings to me. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, it looks class, doesn't it? Like it was the boss battles with the musical crescendos they've weaved into it. I'm like, yes, like give me some of that. And the combat stuff doesn't really bother me, to be honest with you. I think if it's got a good bit of world building and storytelling, I'm quite happy. Oh, what was that? So, I don't know if you guys heard that, but it sounded like the aliens have landed outside. I can't wait to get away from here. It's terrifying. But yeah, South of Midnight. Scott, is it one that's tickling your proverbial pickle?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. Like, the world building and stuff like that is totally up my alley and stuff as well, but I'm a big stickler for combat in games. Like, it has to really click with me, and if it doesn't, then I'll get bored. So I think that if if the world building and the vibes and the atmosphere really, push it over the line, then I'll probably will play it to completion. But to be honest with you, I'm not sure. Everything that I've heard about it, I'm kind of like, but again, the value of Game Pass, call ourselves the Game Pass podcast because it's just becoming the bashings of Game Pass. But there's no harm in trying it, to be honest with you. So aye,
you can't go wrong with it. I mean, I think before I go any further into April, the only one I noted for March, which is I think it's less than 2 weeks, WWE 2K25 is coming out as well. I know those games have been
14th, I think that is.
Yeah, that's right. I think the island's going to be part of it. They always do well, these games. I have tried. I've really tried. I thought WWE 2K24 was going to be the one. I remember I'd been so excited to try it out, and I'm like, it's still too simmy for me. Like, I need it to be more arcade-like, but I wish I was into these games. I really do. Like,
I do think this would be the year because it's just all about Roman Reigns. And I don't know if Liam has told you this, Alex, but Liam has more Roman Reigns t-shirts in his wardrobe than normal t-shirts.
Is he in the WWE? He's hardly ever later. Like,
he's always in our hearts somewhere.
Always acknowledging our tribal chief somewhere.
Aye. I have been burned too many times with the 2K series that I buy these games and I never ever play them. Like I make a creator wrestler go and do the career mode, and then I just get bored after the first wrestling match because I'm like, I can't be arsed with this. So I completely agree with you, is that it's too simmy and like it's not as exciting as I want it to be. But what I do like doing is watching people on Twitch make their own like wrestling promotions and commentate over that. So like I go into Twitch and watch people play it, and it's class. Like that's the best part of it. You're watching a wee wrestling show. They make their own creator wrestlers to give them this background and stuff, and it's fucking brilliant. But I've just not got the energy for that. The best thing they've done though is the GM mode. See the GM mode in the old 2K series, bringing it back and stuff as well. It's been a fucking stroke of genius because it is excellent. But I am interested to see what this island of relevancy nonsense is. Like I want to know what this is all about because it's just PlayStation Home, the wrestling version. So aye, we'll see
all
how
these
that
random
goes.
matches and
I have to commend the timing for it though, because I always felt like the WWE games came out in like the fall, but now to release it just before the WrestleMania hype, it's genius. Like, and it worked on me 2 years ago. I remember watching WrestleMania. I can't remember what it was, 2 years ago, and I was sitting there going, "This is fantastic. That's amazing." I went home and bought WWE 2K23 and played it once. Never touched it again.
I was fairly similar to 23, and I didn't play much 24. And I thought 24 was the one again that I would play because I really liked that mode around like the 40 years of WrestleMania. And I thought, oh, this would be quite cool. But I think they've even been really clever this year in terms of how they're weaving it into WWE, and like your wrestlers are coming to the ring. Like this is how it looks in WWE 2K25, and like just the whole thing just seems. The production is all very joined up. They're very, very smart.
They know what they're doing over there on the WWE for sure. That was kind of everything I had in March. Obviously, in April, some ones I've kind of noted to look out for. We talked about South of Midnight. I've put down Lost Records, Blooming Rage Tape 2 on the 15th of April in PS Plus. We've mentioned Claire Obscure on the 24th of April in Game Pass. But then, of course, Days Gone Remastered is coming out in April as well on the 25th. I don't know if either of you guys are going to double dip or dip for the first time in Scott's cases. Alex, did you play Days Gone at all?
No.
I'm the only one.
Everyone else. Just like everyone else.
Just like
the wider game community. I'm kind of the same. I maybe played it for an hour and then I was like, I don't really know if I'm into this. But it's always been one that I wanted to go back and play. So it might be something that I'll look at. It might be something that I'll just wait for it to come to PlayStation Plus and I'll just play it on that because it will eventually end up there.
The PS4 version is on there. And I know it was, I think it might have even been a monthly game once. Every monthly PlayStation Plus, I'll go and make sure that I add it to library just in case. Yeah. And this is a good example for that. And I actually think there's a game that you'd like in there, Scott. It's long, but it takes its time, and I kind of respect it for that. But the reason I fell off is just because I'm not really the zombie guy. There's only so much freakers. But if you're into things like Sons of Anarchy and biker culture and stuff like that, and so happen to be into zombies, this is definitely up your alley.
That's the game that's perfectly made for you then. But the one thing that does excite me about it is it's like an arcade sort of shooting mode where you just kind of have to survive the horde.
Yeah,
that interests me more than anything else, because that kind of seems what it was like in the previews of it and in the trailers of it. It was really all about that. So I'm excited for that above all else, but we'll see.
Get some great PSVR 2 games that do that.
I love it. Keep plugging. I did actually, before I go into May, I did kind of half jokingly do that with my wife the other week when they announced the PlayStation VR 2 is getting a price drop, and I'm like, listen, it might be a good idea for me to jump on this now before we move. And it was like, no, it's okay. You are right. You are right. But I did try, and I will keep trying. One day it will be mine. But I will move into May. So there's a couple we talked about. Well, just one, Doom the Dark Ages, right? So before I go any further, are you guys excited for Doom the Dark Ages, or is it just me that needs that metal fix?
Probably just you.
Probably it's just you, to be honest with you.
Right, okay.
I mean, it looks cool. It does look cool. I like the look of it, and I will again give it a try. But I'm not certainly like really.
Yeah, it's not on my list of anticipated games, to be honest with you, because you know my feelings on Doom Eternal and stuff. So
been fantastic.
I don't know about that.
Doom Eternally good.
Do your thing. If you want to go off on the Dark Ages.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's on Game Pass, 15th of May. There's one on the 23rd of May, which I know is going to be sky high, Scott, which is Onimusha 2 Samurai's Destiny, coming 23rd of May to PlayStation 4.
I can't wait.
Alex, do you share Scott's love and joy for all things Onimusha?
I mean, am I just out here to like just try to throw me under the bus? Like,
I'm enjoying it. It's balance.
Like, no, I've never played Onimusha.
Oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. I can understand why though, because it wasn't the shining star of Capcom back in those days. To be honest with you, you obviously had the Resident Evil games and Devil May Cry that sort of took up that place. So it really wasn't. But 2 is a sort of weird game. It's not actually like, it's not part of the Samanosuke sort of storyline. So you play in a completely different character, which kind of hurts everyone's feelings. But JB's class, and I'm buzzing to go back to it. As I say, I fucking love Onimusha, and any time I can get it back, I can't wait. And for 3, if this is the beginning of things to come, and if we get Onimusha 3 back, just so I can get beautiful fucking Jean Reno back in PlayStation 5, then fucking I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think it has to happen. I suppose they'll be watching the sales closely in this one, but exciting to see it come in May, of course. And then it'll be followed up. And this was on the State of Play, and I put it on the list here because I remember at the time, like, this looks like it has some sauce. It might not be for me personally, but I thought likelihood is one of you guys will probably be into this, and that was Lost Soul Aside, which is coming to PlayStation 5 on the 30th of May.
Is that that's the sort of Final Fantasy sort of 15 clone? I mean, yeah, every single character has weird hair, and the guy literally looks like Noctis from Final Fantasy 15. So, I mean, I don't want to buy it, to be honest with you, because it's not going to take up one of the places on the list. But there's interest there. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll maybe pick it up in the future. But it's been coming out for about fucking 10 years or something like that. Like, it's been coming out forever. So, yeah.
It looks really polished for like such. Was it just that guy that's basically made it? It's like one for such one guy to make a game that looks like that.
That's just insane.
But didn't that like get basically that got announced at State of Play, and something else just announced the release date like that day, and you're like, they're gonna need to move that. I can't remember what the other thing is that's coming out beside it.
Oh, it's a very, very small game, and I don't think they have anything to worry about. Elden Ring Night Rain. Which is also coming out.
That's the one. So yeah, like that was it.
And this is going to be. We're going to get Scott started now, Alex. Right, we're going to get him started because I'm not sure if you have as well, right? And I'm fearing I'm going to get the same result here. But remind me, are you a fan of Elden Ring?
Yes.
Yes, okay, that's good. Right, okay, perfect. Did you get to play the test of Night Rain?
No, because I'm not going to play Night Rain.
Aye, so
Good answer.
you and I in the same camp. But Scott, take us away, Night Rain. Tell the listeners if this should be something that should be in their ones to watch.
I think if you really like Elden Ring, it could be something that would be for you. But for me personally, it sort of loses part of the charm where you could go and really take your time and explore the world. Because you are basically sprinting through. It's basically just fucking Fortnite in Elden Ring's world. Like you drop down on this massive eagle and you then have to scoot around trying to find weapons. You and 2 other people, but then you have to survive 3 days. So the first day you fight a boss at the end, and then you move on to the next day, fight a boss at the end of that, and then after the end of the 3rd day you fight the boss. The Rock, the final boss, is the one that you fight on day 3. But it's just too like forced. Like I'm forcing myself to run through this and trying to pick up things and hoping that I get good loot. So it really wasn't something that I enjoyed. I maybe played 4 or 5 rounds of it and I just couldn't get on board with it. Like even when people die, they just drop off. And then you're forced to play it with 2 people. And then eventually you're forced to play it with 1 because everyone just runs off on their own wee fucking thing and dies. I think if you have a coordinated group of 3 people together, you could have fun with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you had 3 people willing to go through that with you at the same time, then there could be some fun there. But the fact that they want you to pay whatever they're wanting you to pay for this game, and it's not just an add-on to Elden Ring, it kind of screams like a bit of a fucking cash grab, which is a bit of a pain in the arse. But if you like Elden Ring, this could potentially be for you, to be honest with you. If you've got mates who like Elden Ring as well, then there could be something there. But
specifically,
it just felt like
2 mates. That's what you need.
Yeah, exactly. It just felt like this was a mod. Somebody made a mod in Elden Ring and just randomly put this mod in it because it just made no sense. So I'm not his biggest fan, but if it ever happened to be something that, you know, dropped to like a tenner or something like that, and I'd be like, do you know what, then maybe I'll jump into it, because they've got something there where they could throw in bosses from older From Software titles and stuff like that as well. Like you could put, you know,
well, they have
they've put
Nameless King.
The Nameless King, but you could put like, you know, Father Gascoigne in there or something like that. Just throw Bloodborne bosses in there because they're never giving us Bloodborne ever again. So
if you
could do something like that, but
if you do that, man, they will not hear the end of it, and I will lead the charge. That's how I know they'll not hear the end of it. Like, and it's Bloodborne too. But yeah, I'm so like kind of. I'm feeling slightly disappointed by it, if I'm honest. Yeah. Like, and I'm with you. It's like if it's something you're really craving, then yeah, there's something there. But the whole thing around the 3-player aspect just feels awkward to me. And it's just, I would much prefer just to have the option like you would in the, I don't know, vanilla Elden Ring, where you're just basically, you can either play or you've got the option to kind of get someone in. Of course, it makes the bosses harder and stuff, but that was kind of so crucial to that experience. And yeah, I'm just like, I'd much rather play something else at that time, to be honest with you. Who knows, maybe I will just go by Lost Soulside instead. Come May, we'll see. But I'll move on, because I'm conscious of time as well, guys, because there's loads of other ones that we've mentioned. So I'm just going to just kind of list off a few ones here. Stop me if there's anything that you're thinking, oh, that sounds like a belter. Also, we talked about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 in July. August, you're getting Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. You get Shinobi Art of Vengeance one day after it, which looks like an absolute banger. I can't wait for that game.
That does look good.
That does look good, yeah.
It does. It really does. I think there'll be a lot of elder gamers, such as myself, that will be really happy to see that back. The art style looks phenomenal. So I'll definitely be picking that up. And both these games come out just after my birthday as well. So I'm hopefully going to be voucher rich at that point. So not breaking any rules.
One of the captains of one of the ships in Pirate Yakuza was Captain Shinobi.
Oh, really? Awesome. Like that. Some deep cuts. That's what we want. And yeah, it looks awesome, man. Can't wait for that one. I think another ones I want to put in the radar in September, Hell Is Us, which does look really intriguing.
Weird.
Yeah. Weird.
It looks weird as fuck. Yeah.
I'm not,
And from what they've told us about the sort of gameplay and all that of it as well, it's like it sounds even weirder than it looks. So I'm interested in it.
Well, you know what I mean? Slap Hideo Kojima's name on it and it would sell billions. So, hey,
Tell you,
who am I to judge? But we'll wait and see. Then there's one game here in September that I know that everyone here will be absolutely buzzing for. I'm surprised it wasn't the top of our list. And that's Borderlands 4 on the 23rd of September. Like, if you have thought to yourself, I really want to go back to 2009, damn, have I got news for you? There's a game here coming for you. Anybody here excited for Borderlands 4?
No.
I mean, don't think anyone anywhere else is excited for Borderlands 4 either. So
total damn
Me excited for that state of play for Borderlands 4. Like.
Oh, aye, that's true.
Yes. Oh, I forgot about that. Jesus. We can blame marketing for that. That's definitely reeks of boardroom deal. So that's the kind of ones we get the dates for, guys. So there's other things in there we didn't even get to touch upon that we don't have dates for. You've got like Mind's Eye. You've got even Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Yoti, Judas. You've got Ninja Gaiden 4. Although I think that's not been dated yet. You've got Wu Chang Fallen Feathers, Lies of P Overture, Mafia: The Old Country, Outer Worlds 2 for some people that may be big fans of that as well. I mean, I'm quite intrigued by that one myself. And then that's not to mention the very, very child-friendly elephant in the room that is a Nintendo Switch 2 launch that's coming. I mean, there's
I thought you were going to say Grand Theft Auto 6 there.
No, I'm keeping that.
That's next year.
That's next time. I'm keeping that one because I think that'll be a good closer. But in terms of Switch 2, though, like obviously we can speculate and all the rest. The only thing I've really got to go on here is Mario Kart from the footage and Metroid Prime 4. But I think, and this is sheer punditry, we will get some form of Zelda remaster or remake in that launch lineup. I don't know what one.
I don't think you get it for Switch 2 though. Like
Yeah,
I think you're not going to get Metroid. You're going to get it for Switch. You're going to get Metroid Prime 4 for Switch.
Yeah,
they've confirmed that Pokemon ZA
Yep.
is for Switch and not Switch 2. So you're like, I think you're just going to see these games come out and be playable on the Switch 2, but you're not going to get Switch 2 versions. It's going to be the most Nintendo thing you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
But you will get a new Mario game by Christmas. There's no doubt about that.
Oh yes, I mean that's a system seller right there. Even though you're right, they will make it, across both. But we didn't even mention Pokemon ZA as well. Like I don't know what you guys thought when was it last week it was shown off in Pokemon Day, and
I didn't even bother watching it.
It just looks like that was the same. It just looks fucking terrible. I like the new combat stuff for it. I think that looks more interesting, but it just looks like every other Pokemon game that I've ever played. So
yeah,
I'm not.
I think I'm at the point now when I'm looking at it, and it is some people, if you are feeling curious, like it's baby's first RPG, which I love about Pokemon games, but I'm at the point now where I think I'm just setting my ways, and I'm like, just call me when they're doing anything related to Kanto or Johto, I'll be there. But of that, once the Pokemon start getting past the 300 mark, I'm like, I'm losing count, guys. I can't keep up with this, you know what I mean?
No need for that many.
No, there isn't.
A whole alphabet of them. They've got a whole alphabet of fucking Pokemon.
Jesus, they do actually. I mean,
don't start me.
My son, Santa went and brought him a Pokemon encyclopedia at Christmas. So at night time, very often, instead of a bedtime story, we'll sit and we'll read through a few pages of that. And it's an encyclopedia, so it's usually like a few paragraphs. It's like a beauty. I didn't even have to turn the page and he's sleeping. But I'm like refusing to go past the Johto part. So it's like the first
just get back to you.
That's it. So, oh, look at that. I fell down. Oh no, this is Kanto. Just kind of going right back to the start. It's like, in this house we only see 252 Pokemon. I don't know what it is about that game, but as we know, it will come out and it will sell absolutely millions of copies because that's what Nintendo do. But to close this out, GTA 6. Like, in terms of most anticipated this year. Alex, you says it's coming next year. You standing firm on that one?
Everything says next year to me. Like, I just don't see any way that they don't have another delay into 2026. Might be wrong, but yeah.
Scott, where did you?
I'm the believer on this podcast. I'm standing on 2025's side of the fence. Not because I really wanted to come out in 2025. I just wanted to just go against what everyone else is saying. It seems like the most obvious thing in the world that it's going to be delayed to 2026.
Yeah.
But, you know, who are we if we're not betting on these things? So the 2025 is definitely coming out in 2025. You know, I can't see any reason why not.
I am leading with Alex in this one. As you know, I've said this for months. Like, I don't see this coming this year. I know that there's been, you know, the big wigs at Take-Two have just been saying, yep, it's definitely coming, you know, by close of that financial year. And I'm like, they have to say that, because if they come out and say GTA 6 will not fall on that, their share price will drop. So they kind of have to kind of look after that and play the game a wee bit, no pun intended. But I would love it if it came out this year, because we're all absolutely champing at the bit to play it. But I really want something that can really show off that PlayStation 5 Pro purchase, guys. At the end of the day, I'm not going to lie, I'm needing something on there soon to kind of fight the buyer's remorse a wee bit. Because I'm like, what the hell's on here? You know what I mean? Things run better.
I know.
They look better, but I mean, Astrobot looks slightly better. There's not a game yet. I mean, when we first got it, booting up Spider-Man 2, it was like, oh, that, you know, this is good. The frame rates, the ray tracing, everything's there. Since then, it's like, guys, do you remember you've got this? You know, it just doesn't feel like there's any momentum behind the thing just now. But
yeah, but then you could say that about everything at PlayStation.
True. That's true. I think the only thing they've got momentum behind is probably the PlayStation Plus monthly games just now. That's about that, you know, because it's called.
Not just because you're desperate.
Honest to God. But yeah, I think that wrapped kind of everything up. Was there anything we missed there, guys? Any other ones that we didn't kind of get to rhyme off?
The only one I would say would be the Midnight Walk.
Oh yes,
yeah.
And I think that being probably me putting my VR head back on, because it's coming out as a hybrid, but that one I think is really intriguing from the Lost and Random guys. Looking forward to that. I think that looks good.
Yeah. It's definitely, that's the one that's kind of Tim Burton-y vibes, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's quite a rarity, that, though. You mentioned a hybrid release approach. Not something we see all too often.
No, but I think it's the way forward. I think that's
the best thing they can do with it. Isn't it? Like, you don't alienate either half. You can kind of take advantage of both. So,
yeah,
good.
Well, good on them. Let's say we're going to get more things announced as the year goes on. So you'll probably find we'll do another episode down the year, or down the line, where we do check in again, just to kind of keep everybody involved, like aware of what's happening, what games we should be going out there to play, and what ones you should be keeping an eye on. So that was good fun. Thank you for that, gentlemen. And yeah, March looks like it's going to be an absolutely chock-a-block month. And I can't wait, because I'm eating good in March. But I think we should move on now. So of course, that does mean that it's time for the Pixel Picks Showdown, where each week we each pick a game from our chosen theme and decide which one deserves to live on in the hallowed Pixel Picks list, which is a definitive list of the best games we recommend to pass on to the next generation of gamers. Now, last week's theme was a 100+ hour game, with Red Dead Redemption 2 becoming the latest addition to that list. And in this week's showdown, we're going to be debating what best card game we think should feature on the Pixel Picks list. Now, I should stress it's a card-based video game, so we can't say something like Texas Hold'em or something like that. You know, it has to be something. It could be a version of it.
Video games that are doing that, yeah.
Just as long as it's in a video game form, that's fine. But we can't actually do a deck of cards. So yeah,
can we just say that this is probably going to be the easiest Pixel Picks ever? To be honest with you, like
you say that, and
like 2, 3.
Well, I'll just say the same game at the same time, right?
Oh, you know I'm going to scupper it.
Marvel Snap's not allowed.
Oh, for God's sake. I'm ruined. Well, usually we do last week's winner goes last, but Alex, of course you're the guest, so I'm going to invite you to go first this week.
So I get to say it first then?
Yeah, or you could decline. And then just say, on you go, Scott.
No, I'll go. That's fine. Do you want I do have an honourable mention, and it's maybe not one that like
Yeah,
you
go
would
for
think of? I mean, the first thing that randomly, and I went down this more traditional route, and I know you're saying we're not talking to, but I mean, we've all been playing Microsoft Solitaire since Windows 1995.
Yeah, yeah.
True.
Like,
It's so true.
I mean, every single person has played that game and probably still plays that game, or their dad plays that game, or their granddad plays that game.
Yeah.
And we still play Microsoft casual games collections every day to get our Xbox points on PC.
Yes.
But like we do all these things, and I mean, it definitely deserves its moment in the spotlight because it started it all off all those years ago.
So it's funny, I'm glad you mentioned it because it is 100% my honourable mention as well. And I wanted to say it in like this really stupid ways. Like Solitaire was fucking formative. It was so good. Like,
I genuinely thought
amazing.
that was going to be the pick. I genuinely thought it was going to be the pick that you were talking about because I'm like, it's so ubiquitous and a game that has served so many good Skyfires. But anyway, Alex, on you go. I won't interject.
I mean, but the actual pick has to be Belastro, surely. Like, I mean, there's not really anything else that you can put in there. I don't ever remember there being such a, like, something that came so out of the blue and literally has taken over the world. Like, even just the longevity that it's had to this day, like, indie games just don't do that. And for it now to be everywhere, for them to keep supporting it, for it now to be in Game Pass, to just keep adding those little things in. Like, I can imagine how excited you got, Liam, when you got some Assassin's Creed cards in there. All those wee bits that they just keep kind of bringing in. Like, it's just a phenomenon.
Yeah.
And I think it will last the test of time. I think it's one of those in 10 years' time we will still be playing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Scott, cards on the table, no pun intended. I'll be better a wee bit. That was my pick. Was this your pick as well?
Of course it was. Of course it was.
The easiest pick.
Genuinely don't think you could have picked anything else. Like I kind of floated around thinking about Gwent, but I never liked Gwent when they made the game for it. I preferred Gwent when it was in The Witcher 3.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it's the only game you could ever fucking think about was Balatro. It's like indoctrinate. You could genuinely take over the world if they were really smart to, you know, influence an entire world of people. Just start putting subliminal messages in Balatro because we would all fall for it. Like, I think I'm like you with Marvel Snap with Balatro, where I'll play it every single day just without even thinking about it. Like, I'll click on the button and it's there, and I'll just go and finish off a wee hand, and then I'll click off it again. Like, it's just ridiculous. The fact that it's on my fucking phone is the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Like, my screen time on my iPhone has never been higher because I'm literally playing that most of the time. So, it is absolutely disgusting how big it is, but it deserves it because it's fucking brilliant. It's so good.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like, I think I've said it before on the podcast, talk about Balatro. Like, it's genius and it's simple. You know, it's essentially a game as Tetris. I really do think that is this generation's Tetris in terms of it can be everywhere. People get hooked. It's endlessly entertaining and addicting. And yeah, we've all put in a shameful amount of hours into this game and will forevermore. I think it's a game that we'll keep going back to. And yeah, like the fact that it's on the phone now. I'm playing it on the PlayStation 5. I'm playing it in Game Pass for the sake of it. It's got me through some moments where I just need to play something. Whether that is, you know, you're having a coffee, so I'll just pull it out on the phone. Or if you're having to endure Married at First Sight Australia, and it's like, cool, I can play this on the phone, and then I'm like, do you know what? I'm getting the Portal out because it's a bigger screen, you know, and it's like that little thrill. But I could sit there for hours on end, and I'm sure we've all done it. We've just had that like, just one more go, and the instant gratification of the little noises that it makes as those multipliers rack up. Oh man, it's a game that you could easily recommend to anybody, you know, without a shadow of a doubt. So yeah, I was just gonna say it's one of those games that no matter how many hours you put into it, you're still finding something new.
Yeah.
It's terrifying actually, because you're right, because you could discover new jokers, you could discover new builds with the combinations of jokers and, you know, strategies, or maybe actually I'm going to use these tarot cards and I'm going to actually try and chase down as many spectral cards as possible and try and gamble to get them all in that one suit that I need. And it's never it's never a face card. It's always a bloody 2 or something like that, and it ruins my strategy immediately. But yeah, it's taught me to really appreciate that I had a little bit more knowledge of poker than I thought I did before I played Bilatro. But also just to have fun. I think at first I was like, I'm not getting a royal flush every time. I must be terrible at this. And it's like, no, damn it, 2-pair builds all the way. Like, and then you start beating it, and it's like, this is great. And that injection of like, people won't even realise the roguelite elements if you're not, I would say about a code gamer. But it's the fact that you're getting introduced to this concept of a roguelike game whilst playing this very, very simple game made by one person. And I think the design philosophy behind it, and I will be totally butchering this, but basically he looked at it like a deck of cards is all you need to design a game, and he's done it. Like it's absolutely genius. We could spend a full episode talking about Bilatro easily. It's probably one that should have been our game of the year last year, Scott. But
yeah,
we went for sentiment.
100%.
And the one that we did go for, which was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, that had Queen's Blood. Let me tell you, if that was a game on its own, man, I'd be having thoughts. It's not better than Bilatro, but it'd be getting an honourable mention, that's for sure. But I think, Bilatro, dead easy. And of course, Alex, as the guest, and as you put it up front, this will be your name next to that on the Pixel Picks list. So congratulations to yourself and Bilatro. I think, was this your first victory on the Pixel Picks Showdown?
I think that might be my second. I think I got the last time I was here because I said it technically got it as well, but I can't remember what game it was. Right. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm going to
go back and check.
At least I'm definitely on there now.
I think you're right. I'm just having a wee look just now. Oh yeah, you did 2D fighting, and it was Street Fighter 2 Turbo on week 24. So yeah, he's got form. He's coming for you, Scott.
Shame it wasn't week 25 and I could come back in 75 and then
I know. I think I need to guys, you're going to have to indulge me, right? You're going to have to. My honourable mention had to be Marvel Snap, right? And it was just, I know I'm predictable. I'm predictable as anything, right? But I had to. I'm sorry. I've spoke about it so much on this podcast, and it deserves it. It deserves it. I'm sorry. It's
you wouldn't have been being true to yourself if you hadn't said it.
Exactly. I've got to speak my truth on this podcast.
The fact that you had to say it live as well, you couldn't have said it after the podcast had ended, so you had to throw it in there just so everyone knew.
I have to. That's what we do. Our life is content. That's what it chose us, fellas. It chose us. But I think it's easy to take that game for granted, though. Like, I know seriousness, in terms of gameplay, a card battler that is that simple to pick up and play, 3-minute rounds, you integrating things like the snap mechanic, so you've got some stakes added to it, and then if you just wrap it all in that Marvel package, so it's got that collectability element to it, it is a very simple, very genius and infuriating game to play. So that's probably all with the saying why it's my honourable mention. And yeah, I've played it every day since 18th of October 2022, which is my confession. And I
think I played it about the 25th.
I played it for a few months, like 2 years ago, and then I stopped. So
that's it.
I got a good 6 months. I have a good 6 months out of me, and then I gave up with it.
Oh, you would be disgraced with me with my collection level, and I don't.
It's the money you spend on it as well. It's the fact you actually spend British pounds on it.
I don't know what you're talking about. The season pass just automatically renews, and I don't know how it happens.
How does that work in your buying games, technically?
Well, I actually put that down as just self-care. It's not a video game, so I just put it down as self-care. So that's up there with the gym membership.
I mean, if you bought 3 season pass, how many a month were you really out your?
I can't disclose that here because if my wife listens to this episode and puts 2 and 2 together, then I'm in big trouble. So, swiftly moving on, but yeah, I think it just had to be Bilatro. I'm so glad because I did actually think it's either going to be that or Solitaire. Funnily enough, it was the honourable mention as well for you guys because Solitaire, to be fair, I wouldn't have been displeased with that being the pick as well, just because it's everywhere.
There's Magic the Gathering fans somewhere, like their blood has curdled because we haven't even mentioned it. So that's your honorary Magic the Gathering nonsense. But Hearthstone and all that pish
Hearthstone,
as well.
You could have like Pokemon, you name it. There's so many Uno. There's so many like digital card games out there. But I think accessibility, pick up and play, and for me, Balatro is the only one out of all those ones you mentioned, Scott, that you could install on every PC out there and people would play it. If you installed Magic, no chance. Granted, you'd pick up a lot of people on the way, but it's so it feels quite impenetrable at this stage for newcomers. And don't get me wrong, I think if you were in the right community of people, and they'd be more than happy to take you through it. And I've often thought about it, like, should I dabble? But I know that's a terrible idea. Like, you don't need that in your life just now. Start going out and spending thousands of pounds on Magic cards, especially with those Marvel variants. I don't need that. But yeah, congratulations, Balatro. It's yet another award coming its way as an honourable, or as a pick on the Pixel Picks list. So yeah, happy with that one, gents?
Yes.
Pleased with that, pleased with that one.
Excellent. Of course, that brings us to the end of this week's podcast. So thank you once again for joining us. And if you like what you hear and enjoyed the podcast, leave us a wee 5-star review. Tell your friends, tell your auntie, tell your gran. I don't care. Just tell them about it. They'll enjoy it. They'll have fun. Of course, that helps us out and makes a massive difference. It would be hilarious if we all of a sudden start getting lots of grans listening to this podcast. Now I've said that. So, Alex, I'll start with you. It's test time. So, where can people find you online? And also remind people once again where they can listen to the Mimics Fail and Crossbutton VR each week.
Yeah, you can find me on Blue Sky at SSAlex984. And you can find us Mimics Fail. Just search for the Mimics Fail in your podcasting app, and Crossbutton VR. You can find us on YouTube and on all podcasting apps.
Awesome. And Scott, where can people find your fine self online as well?
I'm on Blue Sky, llamaman.bsky.social. Fucking shut up on there. Aye, talking nonsense.
I remind you, this is a family show. Your language is probably
family whamly. If you've gotten this far, you can pick up to 50 episodes in. I'm allowed to swear. But where can we find you, Liam? Apart from hiding in bathrooms playing Marvel Snap.
Yes, of course. Soon to be a new one. So you can find me talking about games and taking down Donald Trump on a day-by-day basis at carmelite.bsky.social. Not a day-by-day basis. I fight the urge on a day-by-day basis, but it's mainly video games I'm talking about on there, and of course sharing everything about this podcast. And yeah, come say hello. Always good to just kind of see more like-minded people just kind of join that. And just the good thing about it is you're opening it up and you're seeing games, which we can't take for granted because monetization is always round the corner. So I'm enjoying it while it lasts. You know what I mean? And of course, I can't forget a massive thank you to our producer and music man, the talented and handsome Mr. Sean Murray, who I am very excited to be talking about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, that remake, because he's with me. He's going to be very excited about that. And yeah, of course, you can listen to the next episode on all major podcast platforms or follow us on Blue Sky at pixelparents.bsky.social. And if you want to, you can, of course, write to us at pixelparentspodcast@gmail.com. Alex, thank you once again for joining us for episode number 50. Feels like that's a milestone. I'm not sure. It's a half milestone.
Yes.
Episode 100's probably.
Definitely a milestone. Yeah. Congratulations, guys.
Thank
you for having me.
Anytime. You're always welcome. And of course, until next time, stay safe, stay sane, and thanks for listening.